Hello everyone, welcome back to Unite Coaching. So in the last video we have seen the user interface of the STAAD Pro Connect Edition. We will continue that series only. So as I have told you already, once you open the STAAD Pro Connect Edition, this window will appear. I'll put the file name as tutorial 2. Then the location where you want to save, you can change it from here. Then the matrix system will be selected and you just have to create the model. With the basic setting, this window will open. Now, in the last video, we have seen few of the functions. For example, if I want to draw a beam, let us take an example of a beam. I'll put 0 here and put my cursor and click here only. Then, so once you click here, a node will be generated here. See, now we will talk about the various views. See, when you see here, X, Y and Z, all directions are getting shown here. That means our view is in 3D view. If I click on this top view, see the axes are getting changed. If I click on bottom view, again the axis will change. If I click on front view, again the axis will change. Now let us take an example that if I want to draw, say for example, if I want to design or just analyze the beam in this STAAD Pro Connect Edition. So I'll select the front view of a beam. One node is already added. If you want to select it, you have to go to select and select the node cursor. Then you will be able to select this node. Then in the X direction itself, see this direction is X direction in this direction. So I'll put 5 and click here. So these two nodes are getting drawn on the screen here and here. What I'll do, I'll join these two nodes by a beam. I'll click on geometry and click on add beam. And click on this beam and then click on this point, this on this node and this node. So a beam is getting created and it is nothing but our front view. Now, if I click on 3D view or isometric view, the beam will look like this. Okay, so I'll select only front view. Now, if you want to add the loading, UDL, support, you don't need to remember what you have not added. You just have to go one by one. For example, if I wanted to draw this 5-meter beam, so I have clicked on geometry. If you want to draw something, then properties means the type of section that you want to define. For example, this beam is of 230 mm width and 450 mm depth. So what I will do, I'll click on define, then go to rectangular section. The various sections you can select here, circular, rectangular, T1. Okay, so I'll click on rectangular. See, it shows that ZD is the width and YD is the depth. So ZD is 0.23 and YD is the 0.45. Just for the example, material, take this option as concrete and click on add and close. So this material is added in the list here, but it is not assigned here. Why? Because you will have to assign this to this particular beam. So what I'll do, I'll click on this and click on this beam and click on assign to selected beams, assign and yes. Now this beam is showing here as the R1 section, which means the defined section is 230 mm by 450 mm. Okay, I'll again come back to the geometry. That means my geometry part, what I have done, I have drawn a beam, I have assigned the section. If you want to see the section in 3D view, click on view and click on 3D rendered view. See, the beam is showing here. It's a 3D rendered view. The width is 230 mm and the depth is 450 mm and the span is 5 meters. Okay, so that where I got that in the view section here in the 3D rendering. Now, if I want to apply supports here, so you don't need to remember one by one, you have to go. See, we are done with the geometry. Then the property section, we have assigned the property, for example. Now the material, we will skip this part because while adding this material, I had ticked this option, concrete material. So what I will do, I'll ignore this option because our concrete is already selected. Specification that I will show you later how with this we can use this. Now I'll directly come to the support. Okay, now support, at this support and at this point and at this point, for example, I want to create a new support. So I'll click on create and there are various supports. Pin support means the simply support. Fixed means the fixed support that you know. So I'll click on fixed support and click on add. It will list as support 2. It is just listed. We have not assigned the point where you want to add this support. So I'll select this point, press the control button on the keyboard. Again select this point and click on assign to selected beams, nodes, assign and yes. So in this way, the fixed support is getting assigned. Okay. Now, The next part, the loading part. You can, this is one is very, very important. I'll show you one by one, each and everything will be shown in the coming videos. I'll just give you an introduction to the interface. That's why I will not go in detail. So these are the definitions. Definitions means what? You can first define the seismic parameters, the wind parameters. These are most used parameters. Generally, you can also go for time history analysis, then some pushover analysis like that. So here you can define some wind definitions and seismic definitions, the parameters. Now in this load case details, if you click on this and click on add, there are various number of forces which you can add: dead load, live load, roof live load, wind load, seismic load, snow load, fluid load, and etc. 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 So for example, if I want to add a dead load, I'll select the dead. I'll name it as dead load. Okay. And I'll click on add. Once you click on add, see the load is getting added here, right? Then again, if you want to click on dead load and add, now for example, this beam is carrying a dead load of uniformly distributed load. I'm adding a UDL over here. So I'm assuming it as say for example 20 kilonewton per meter. So what I'll do, I'll go to member force, member load, and uniform force. Uniform force means the UDL. You can see the sketch here. You just have to enter 20. 20 means minus 20 I'll put because I want the direction of load to be in the downward direction. So that's why I'll select 20 minus, then negative 20. Don't click anything else. Make sure the axis is global Y selected because it's a downward direction. Y axis is above. So that's why I have put minus 20 because it will be downward force. And then I'll click on add and close. So now it is getting added in the list, but it is showing question mark here by the red. Why? Because it is just added in the list, but we have not assigned this particular load to this beam. So what I'll do, I'll click on select this, tick on this and tick on this beam and click on assign to selected beams, assign, and yes. Now, if you see the 20 kilonewton force, 20 kilonewton per meter force is assigned over here. It's not showing very big. So what I'll do, I'll click on shift V. If you click on shift V, the values will be shown. Now it is showing in some other parameters. If you want to change it, what you have to do, you have to go to file. Then there are various options here. In settings, you can change it. Display options, and like that in display options, here you can see the force unit should be in kilonewton. The distance is kilonewton. Distance force kilonewton per meter. Then the moment that I want in kilonewton meter. Then like that. Stress I want in Newton per mm square. I can select that. Velocity if you want to in meter per second. Like that. You can select all the parameters. These are for the forces. Same for the dimensions. If you want to select the dimensions, then see where I'll show you various one by one. This one is very important. This section units. Area I want in meter square. Moment of inertia in mm square I want. So I'll select mm raised to 4, inertia. Then dimensions I want in meters. So I'll select that meter here. Like that, you can select all the properties, click on apply and click on OK. Then if you close it and again restart it, it will show in that units only. Or else you can also select one of the very basic command. I'll also show you what. See, when I am clicking this geometry, so we are in the there are two geometries here also and here. If I am clicking on geometry, nothing is getting happen. But if I change, the views are getting changed like this. See, the here the windows are getting changed. But if I click here, the windows will not change here. So make sure you are clicking here, and you have to just remember all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This all criteria are fulfilled. Once it is fulfilled, that means your model is ready to be analyzed. So first you will draw the geometry. Then the properties will be assigned, material will be assigned, whether it is concrete, steel, the specifications that I'll show you later because it's kind of some advanced. We have to release the supports, then basic calculations, then truss models can be also be added. That I will show you later one by one once we start with this series. Then supports, we can add the supports here. Loading is, we will see very detailed way. Like for example, we have added only dead load. Like that, we will add other loads also. Analysis. By running analysis, you can run this analysis and finalize the design. Okay. So this is the general layout of this. Once you analyze, you have to click on this option, post processing. Post processing means the results will be shown. These are the pre-analysis terms. And once the analysis is done, you can go to post processing after the analysis. Okay. So this is the geometry. Now, For example, if this is a beam, I'll delete this supports first. What I'll do, I'll click on this and delete this support. Now, for example, if this is a beam, now if I want to select this beam, you just have to press escape button on the keyboard. Otherwise, if we are, for example, I'm clicking on select and I am on node cursor, okay, and I want to go to beam cursor, means I want to select this beam. So I make sure I should be on beam cursor, or either I can just click on escape button on the keyboard and that will automatically be converted into the beam cursor. Okay. Now, for example, if I want to copy this beam in this direction, in upward direction of Y, so what I'll do, I'll select this. Okay. Now I'll go to geometry and I'll click on translational repeat. This is one of the most important commands, you can say, which we will use in the STAAD Pro. Now let me show you this translational repeat. What happens in translational repeat? If you click this, in which direction you want to copy it from X, in the upward direction. Upward direction, it is showing here Y. So I'll make sure the global Y direction is selected. Now, how many times do I have to copy it? One time. So I'll make sure the number is entered 1 here. Now, at a distance of 3 meter, for example, I want to copy it and I'll click on OK. So what happens? This beam is getting copied here like that. So 2 beams are now created. If you want to see the distance between these 2 beams, you have to go to utilities, then beam tools, node tools, and you have to click this option node to node distance, and you can measure the distance from here to here. It is showing 3 meters. If you want to remove this dimension, you have to click on remove node to node distance. Now the dimension is removed. Now, for example, what I want, I delete this one and again show you the translation repeat some other way. I'll select this option, again go to geometry, translational repeat, and this time what I will do, I'll select the same way, Y direction. In Y direction, I want the number of steps to be 1, means 1 number of beam I want to copy at a distance of 3 meter. Now this time I'll click this option, link step. So what will happen? The beam will be copied, not only it will be copied, but also these 2 points will also get joined like this. So if you are clicking this option, if you are not clicking this option, these 2 beams will not be there. Only the beam will be copied here. And if you click that option, link steps, that means these nodes will also, I'll show you the nodes. These nodes will also be connected by the beam. So that is the power of translation repeat. For example, if I want to draw a room in a very fast way, I'll show you. So for that, I'll go to view and go to the top view. In top view, it is showing like this. First of all, I'll add a node 0 and click here. A node will be added here. Now what I'll do, I'll go to geometry. First of all, I'll go to select the node cursor. I'll select this node. Then I'll go to geometry, translational repeat in this, and I'll keep this aside to make sure it is visible to you. Now it is in X direction. Okay. Now I want to, for example, this is a 0. Now I want to copy this node somewhere here. So in which direction it is? It is X direction at a distance of say 5 meter only. And I'll click on OK. So what is happening? Only the node is getting copied here, like this. Okay. But I'll undo this by clicking here, undo. Now, again I'll select this node and this time I'll again go to translational repeat. Now this time I'll do the same in X direction 5 meter, but this time I'll click on link steps. What will happen? The node will also copied and that node will be automatically get connected by the beam, means beam will also be drawn. Let's see. Okay, so what is happening? A beam is getting drawn here. Now in the same way, once I click escape, now I'll go to the beam cursor, means the beams will be selected. If I want to select the nodes, these points are known as nodes. So I'll go to select node cursor and nodes will be selected. If I want to select the beam, I'll click on escape. Now the beam is getting selected by the keyboard. So I'll select this beam by the mouse. Then again go to geometry, translational repeat. Now this time I want it in this downward direction. Downward direction is Z direction. And this time the number of steps are 3. And default spacing, for example, 3. You can individually change it. For example, I want this beam to be copied 2 meter, then 3 meter, then 4 meters. So what I'll do? 2, 3 and 4. And link steps, if I do, the vertical beams will also be drawn. If I don't click this option, only the beams will be copied at a distance of say 2 meter, then 3 meter, then 4 meter. Now I'll click on link steps and let's see what happens. I'll click on this translational repeat, go to Z direction because it's a downward direction, Z direction. Now the number of steps will be 3. Here I'll change the value 2 3 and 4, and link steps, I'll tick this option and click OK. So what will happen? The vertical beams are also getting connected. So like this translation repeat is a very important one. Once we start drawing the plan, so I'll again show you in detail. Now add beam command. You can, for example, if I want to, let us imagine that this is a beam at midpoint. At midpoint in the center, I want to draw a beam. So what will I'll do? I'll click on this beam, right click, insert node, and at insert node at the midpoint, I'll click this option at midpoint. See, the point is getting created here at 2.5. This means the beam is of 5 meter, and click OK. So what happens? A node is getting created here at a distance of 2.5, means total was 5. At midpoint, we have added that node. That's why it is getting created at 2.5 meter distance. Now what I'll do? I'll add a beam from this point, but there is no point here. So what? For that, if this option appears, if you want such requirement, what we will do? We'll click on this drop down of the add beam and we'll click on this perpendicular intersection. Perpendicular means what? I'll click on this node, and anywhere if I click on this beam, automatically perfectly vertical means perpendicular beam will be created. See, if I am clicking here, even though still the beam is getting horizontally drawn like this. Okay. Now even inclined beams can also be drawn from this point to this point. You can draw a beam, like this. Acha, we are in perpendicular intersection, so it will not be done. You'll have to click here only. Now if I click here, it is getting drawn. And if you want to draw perpendicular beam like this, for example, from here to here, then this command can be used. Perpendicular intersection, I'll click this option, and anywhere on this beam, we can easily draw it like this. So in this way, you can draw the beams. In the next video, again, we will continue with the series, and once we start finishing this, we will increase the difficulty also. Thanks for watching this video. For complete playlist, you can subscribe this and click the bell icon so you can get the updates about the next video that we are uploading soon. Thank you.